gotta change that intro music to Wicked Game or something, like Chris Isaac after that last
I need
episode of.
to add some shirtless shots to that intro now.
Yeah,
Like, what am
we
I
need
doing?
some Chris Isaac now to fit the most recent episode of The Acolyte. So welcome everybody to AcoNight, TRB Live. John and Lacey here with you as always, and our guest to talk about Teach/Corrupt, episode 6 of The Acolyte, is a podcast host and a stellar movie premiere seat partner. Welcome to the show, Candace from Geeky Waffle. How are you, Candace?
Hello there. I am very excited, especially to be on for this Acolyte episode.
I've been saying it all day. I was like, we picked the perfect person for this episode, not knowing what was going to happen.
None of us knew.
Yeah. So, Candace, before we get into everything, I just want our audience to get an opportunity to get to know you. Where can people find you? What's going on with Geeky Waffle? What do you got going on? Plug away. And thanks for being here.
You can find us at thegeekywaffle.com. We have a Star Wars podcast called Space Waffles. I'm really excited this month. I'm going to my first San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm going to be a panelist for Friday.
Ooh. Yeah.
I think it's at 4 p.m. It's unpacking female characters. So I'm so hyped. My first Comic-Con.
But you have done panels before. I've been on your panels, and they're always great. They're always wonderful.
Yeah. Lacey was on my Padme panel during London Celebration. And then John, I sat next to during Indiana Jones.
Yes, Dial of Destiny. That was and you were saying off air that you always had this bucket list to see John Williams, and then the Indiana Jones premiere was like, "Is this not cool enough for you?" Well, here you go, Candace. Here's John Williams doing the Indiana Jones theme before Indiana Jones.
Oh, it was magical, and I was telling John, I was like, I had been awake since like 3 a.m. because I literally like flew out. And just no sleep. I said hello to Harrison Ford. I said, "Hi, Mr. Ford." And he said, "Hi, Ben." And I'm just like in a daze. And then John Williams comes out and George Lucas is there. And I'm like, the maker.
Yeah.
I'm in the same room. I'm breathing the same air.
Spielberg. Yeah. Incredible. It was incredible day. But we're here to talk about Star Wars. We're here to talk about The Acolyte. So thank you to everybody who's joining us live. We appreciate it very much. We know it's, if you're in the U.S., it's probably a busy night where you're like, I forgot to go to the grocery store. I got to go get the hot dog buns or whatever you got going on. Thank you for making us a part of your 4th of July Eve, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast app on the 4th of July.
Are stores closed tomorrow?
I don't know. I feel like people.
I was going to say, because I'm saving my holiday to tomorrow at like 7 a.m.
Holy cow. All right.
I had to work today. I couldn't go. And then I had podcast night. It's like a whole process. So I was like,
oh, fair.
I had to quickly throw in a movie watch in between work. I had to watch, was it Family Affair with Nicole Kidman? I had to watch that because we're going to talk about it in Nerdy and Nice. And so that I kind of wish I went grocery shopping, to be honest.
That movie beneficial. Brutal. But yeah, so however you're taking in the episode, thank you so much. We appreciate it very much. If you are joining us live, super chats are available if you would like your comments read on the show. But we hope, more importantly than anything, you're having a good time listening to us talk Star Wars and enjoying everything that's coming your way from The Acolyte. So we're going to get into it here in just a moment. And the last thing I will say is thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/TRB podcasts. We would not be able to do this show or Nerdy and Nice or really anything that we do without your support. So if you like what we do here and you're able to, hop over to patreon.com/TRB podcasts. Tiers start at $5, and we have a lot of exclusive content there, great Discord server, and a lot of cool stuff. So thank you to everybody for your support. But enough of that. It's time to talk about The Stranger, Osha, all this stuff going on with Master Soul and his hidden stories. But before that, it's time to rate the episode. The Kelnaka scale lives, even though Kelnaka does not. So we will give you all the Kelnakas you need until that next flashback episode. But let's start things off by rating episode 6. Candace, you are a guest. You can decide to go first or go last. That's up to you.
Oh, I'll go first just to get it over with.
Nice.
I gave it an 8. I gave it an 8.
Good score.
I think it was solid.
Yeah. So is this like your favorite episodes, or the earlier episodes your favorite? Is it going up for you? Has it been all consistently solid, like an 8 for you?
Oh, but yeah, it keeps getting better and better. I thought like, oh, nothing can really top last episode, but like this one was quiet, but it had so much depth to
Agreed.
it
I agree.
that
Yeah.
I love when they expand, especially the Force.
Agreed. Yeah. So 8 is a great score. I gave this a 7. I really enjoyed how this episode was shot, and of course the landscapes, and just it really did feel like more of a cinematic experience with this show in particular, and using those real locations and not always just the city street set in the UK. I really felt like I was watching something that I could easily picture on a big screen, and I thought that was really cool. And all the stuff with Qimir is just getting very, very interesting.
And it's not Octo. For everybody that assumed it was, it is not.
Yeah, right. Unknown planet. So interesting there. So Lacey, 8 from Candace, 7 from me. What do you got to round us out?
I also gave it a 7. I think it's one of the strongest episodes of this series. I liked last week's better. I just thought last week's was so crazy. There were so many things happening. The fight choreography was intense. I think that Manny and Lee Jung Jae really shined in this episode. I don't know if Amandla did, and we're gonna get into that, but I loved the romance of it. We're gonna get into that. I've been screaming for romance for 7 years now, John, and we're getting it now.
Yeah.
Oh man, did Manny deliver? The tension was there and it was lovely. So I'm giving it a 7. I think it can only go up from here. I thought it was a solid episode based on what we've done for ratings for Ahsoka and Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. 7 is my Laura Kelly not making a choice score.
And that is okay. So Lacey, for us, I believe that puts us at a 7.3 on the Kelnaka scale.
Oh, yes, I didn't take the white off it. Sorry.
I was like, where are we?
It's okay. I'll put it up anyway. So I didn't take the white off the background when I was editing it.
The audio listeners, who are like 90% of our audience, are like, I don't care.
It's fine. It's all good.
So 7.3 from us.
The effort was there.
And our patrons
tried. There was an attempt. Attempt was made.
Where's the cake that's like, you tried? Congrats. Moving quick.
Our patrons checked in with a 7 for this episode.
Did I do on that one too? Yep. There you go.
Perfect. There it
That's
is.
all that
matters. Yep. All right. So just under us with a 7, but a good score nonetheless. Now we'll get to a couple of the comments here. First from Mark at The Kind Awakens. Mark said,
say it like you mean it. Come on.
You say it then.
The Kind Awakens.
There you go, Mark. Mark said 5 Kelnakas. The show ended with me trying on the new Black Series helmet for the first time. Basically, they're like, we're selling this. This is what it looks like to have it on your face.
Which we'll get into it with the giveaway, but they pushed that back to next summer. So I thought I was getting it this year. I was like, oh, awesome. That means like maybe I could bring it to Celebration. Maybe I could do some type of gender bend cosplay. Nope. See you next summer.
See you next summer. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So, and then Christy checked in with 8 Kelnakas. So same as you, Candace. And Christy said,
Kelsey's right.
There's so much left to unpack. Qimir's backstory, Soul's confession about what really happened on Brendok. Vernestra's kind of shady. I think the last episodes are going to be jam-packed. I think so too. I think they have a lot to do in these last 2, because it sounded to me like Leslie Headland has ideas for more, but also that she tried her best to do a rounded out story. So I'm curious how this is going to end. But very interesting. Now, Lacey, I know we have a couple of super chats, so we got to get to those before we give away the next number in the Sith code.
The funny thing is only one is showing up, so 1 second. I don't know why only one showing up. We're having weird issues tonight. But first up is David Probus. Thank you so much. He said, back from the beach and ready for some TRB. Let's go.
Thanks, buddy.
He didn't write it that way. I just interpreted it that way. Because I'm
He's
assuming
Tom
that's how
Brady.
he said it. I'm assuming that's how he said it. And then, of course, is David Ford. Thank you so much for the super chat. Said, show getting better. Questions remain. Qimir, where's my blue milk? Does your stew taste better than Master Yoda's? Hasbro, where's my Ben Solo figure? That's a great question, David Ford, that I've been asking for at least 4 years now. I got the race Skywalker lightsaber, but no Ben Solo.
Have they released any? Have they released any Ben Solo stuff? Like, can you buy his lightsaber? Or
Funko.
anything?
They've released a Funko.
Funko, yeah. It's just a Funko.
And his lightsaber in Galaxy's Edge.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
That's
All
it.
right.
It's just it's crazy to me because they already have the figure mold made. They just have to do different clothes. That's on and then
That's a good point.
Just put him in that sweater.
Yeah, with a hole in it.
With a little hole in it. Yeah.
Just have him do the shrug thing in that little
bananas.
Yeah, you press a button on his back and he just goes. Like that. All right. Let us get into the Sith code. So we're doing a season-long giveaway contest where every week we're giving away one number, and we are advising you to collect all of those as a good Sith along the way. And you will be instructed on what to do with those numbers on our season finale on the 17th with Clayton Sandell. And may the best Sith win. But the person who is going to win the Shivi Babes Star Wars Return of the Jedi Emperor Palpatine Legends in 3-Dimension bust from Gentle Giant. And we have sweetened the pot because we're going in 2025.
We've already bought it, so it's coming.
We've got it. So just hang on a good 12 months or so, and you will look as cool as Manny Jacinto in the Acolyte.
Which honestly, the last time we did a giveaway, I remember it took like 9 months to get Kendall his Grogu seat thing too. Remember?
Oh, right. Yeah, true.
So I guess it's just par for the course.
Yeah, but either way, if you win, you're gonna get it. We ordered it; it's coming, and hopefully the Palpatine arrives sooner. But we will see. But anyway, you've collected the numbers, and you need the 6th one. And the 6th number in the Sith code is for Derek Jeter 2. Number 2. All right. Now we can get into this thing. Let's start this discussion about this episode off. Let's warm it up a bit by talking about our favorite moments or favorite shot or line of dialogue. Candace, our guest of honor, did you have a particular favorite scene, moment, shot, line in this episode that you're like, oh, that's my favorite?
I really like this quiet moment with Sol after they take the ship off and he's just like looking at a console and he's got like near tears in his eyes. The acting, just like he's trying to be a Jedi, but there is this darkness still in there, and it just hints to something more. And just the performance in that scene, and then plus I just love Sol. So
it's such a good scene. You're just kind of sitting with him during this moment. That seems like such a private moment, and you're so up close. It's so good. Great choice.
Great. Yeah. And Candace, have you Lacey and I came about Lee Jung Jae with Squid Games, and Leslie Headland had relatively said the same thing. Was that
it's
same
Squid
for you?
Game? Squid Game. One game.
They play like 20 games.
I mean, they play multiple games, but it's one game.
But you say Squid Games all the time.
It's like Games of Thrones or Game of Thrones.
He wrote a tweet the other day, and I was like deleting the S. I was like, it's just game.
It's not Squid Games.
Game. Squid Game. Just one. Just the game.
I feel like such an idiot because I'm always that jerk who corrects people when they say Christopher Reeves.
Oh, I say that all the time.
And now look at me. I'm
now we're even. Now we're even because I do say Christopher Reeves.
Jeez. Well, I wanted to ask Candace if you saw him first in Squid Game. Did you watch Squid Game?
I watched some of it, but then I got way too upset watching it.
Oh,
and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, when it was going on, I was like, I'm not in the right headspace for this. This is amazing, but I cannot handle this right now.
I get you. It's pretty brutal, but I mean,
Mhm.
I think we could all tell that he was really good, and he's
yeah.
been great. So that's a good pick for your favorite moment.
Mhm.
Lacey, how about you? Did you have a particular favorite shot moment? Usually
You
a
go first.
shot person. Oh, you
You
want me
go
to go?
first. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're gonna be proud of me. I'm picking a shot this time. Usually I pick a story-based thing,
Good for
but
you.
I really feel like my favorite part of this episode was that island and how they used it and how they really tangibly were there, and
It's beautiful.
it made Star Wars TV feel big, sort of like some of the scenes in Scotland with Andor felt.
Mhm.
So when she walks out, and I'm expecting a Star Wars TV shot where it's like clearly a volume thing, and then they just keep panning out and keep panning out, and she's just this little dot on this island with
Mhm.
hand railings, by the way. So
Yeah, where'd those come from?
yeah, when did they get rid
OSHA
of
Star
regulation
Wars
there.
Star Wars
OSHA
never has
regulation.
handrails.
That's the twist.
Never.
This is the twist in the Acolyte. They're gonna erase all the hand railings, and that's how all the Jedi are gonna die, and that's how the Sith are gonna take
Well,
over.
that's when OSHA's gone. Then there's no rails
That's
Yeah.
it.
because.
OSHA.
Oh yeah, perfect. OSHA. Got
Come
it.
with me. And
All
But
right,
yeah, no, you
Lacey.
can really
So
feel the isolation with that scene. Like when it
yes,
pans, like, oh, so good. So good.
I know. I loved
Mhm.
it. I'm assuming we're gonna see more on that island with all this cortosis stuff that they're talking about. So
Mhm. Mhm.
but Lacey, how about you? Favorite shot moment? Did I steal your favorite shot?
You did not. I would not be doing Lacey from 2017 to 2019 justice if I didn't say basically from every fanfic that I've ever read, the whole interaction of him taking his clothes off and
Mhm.
talking to her, specifically the point where he's like, are you going to kill me or can I put my clothes on? Like, that is such a good moment. That is like pure kind of like rom-com a little bit. It's like, can I put my clothes on or are you gonna murder me? Can I do that? And it was just so well done and it's funny and it kind of reminds you that like despite it being kind of shocking and jarring that this guy's naked and he's evil and she's like unsure, he still has this like kind of witty banter that I so wanted for Kylo and Rey and I didn't get it, but I'm getting it here. So yeah, I'm gonna pick that. I think Manny shined in this episode. He killed it. The whole episode was brilliantly done by him, and I think he stole the show. Just like for me with The Last Jedi, I feel like Adam Driver stole that movie for me. He was the best part of The Last Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, we're not gonna we have our TRB poll chat that's coming out
Mhm,
next week, and we're not gonna spoil the results of that, but we'll
mhm,
just say that at least our listeners heavily only interested in his character's future,
mhm,
like what's going to happen with
mhm.
that character. I do feel like he stole the show, but then I found it interesting that Leslie Headland, didn't she just say to Collider or somebody that he's her favorite character?
She did in her interview with Maggie from Collider. She talked a bunch about their relationship, her creating the show, and how people were reacting to it, and specifically that he was her favorite character.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Mhm. I mean,
Um
can you blame? He's so cool. Like, how can you not like that
Yeah.
character?
agreed.
She
So
says
let's
she says he had like an amazing screen test, and that really like I think maybe like inspired her to maybe move more about him. But yeah, no, he's
Totally,
amazing.
and then
The
yeah, and she
range.
mentioned uh-huh, and she also mentions, like, the best villains are ones that you like, that you kind of, like, understand. Like, you're like, "Oh, wait,
Yeah.
like, they're not necessarily wrong," like that and then it makes you form an opinion, it makes you feel kinda guilty about it, and you're like, "Oh my god, am I siding with the villain?" Like, those are the best kind, right? It makes you conflicted, which is what I think Ryan Johnson did well with The Last Jedi, which is then kind of we're seeing it here as well. So, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I also like pure evil villains that when they get defeated, there's just like this euphoria.
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he is a complex villain. There's no doubt about it, and I think there's still a lot that we don't fully understand with him. Clearly, with
Mhm.
I think the biggest question, maybe start there, is the back scar and
Mhm.
him inferring he got it from his Jedi master. I saw a lot of people immediately pointing their direction towards the light whip with Vernestra.
I thought that immediately when I talked to you after the fact on the phone. I was like, that has to be the whip, right? Like she totally hit him.
So is he? So she's been sort of this stoic, very by the book, but concerned presence. Is this her baggage to pair with the baggage the other Jedi have? Is he her baggage? And we're about to find that out.
I mean,
What do you think,
Vernestra already
Candace?
has a lot of baggage from the High Republic.
So
But
Candace, lay it on me because
Mhm.
I did not read the High Republic. I will fully admit that.
Neither did I.
So can you give us? We like to ask people who have their like Laura Kelly told us like your perspective on Vernestra's character from the High Republic to now, and does that tell you anything about your speculation on her?
she's was my favorite character, her and Loden. But Loden, like, spoilers for phase 1, he gets taken out pretty quickly. So she was my favorite character. She was knighted young, and she had the, like, gifted student thing that I kind of like
Mhm.
related to, with everyone being like, oh, you're so smart, and then you don't
Mhm.
feel like you can live up to that potential. And then she's a child, like 15, 16, and she's given a Padawan, and I'm just like, it's it's a lot. And then she has this really interesting, like, and it's not a power, but like with the hyperspace, they reference it like, oh, hyperspace makes you sick. And no, she just gets these really intense connection to the force when she's
Unsettled,
in
right? Is that what
hyperspace.
you said? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she
Interesting.
has like this really deep connection. Like she gets force visions. It's interesting. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can't see her being a Sith or anything, but I can see her being very complicated. And
Mhm.
she's
Mhm.
over 100 now. She's been through some stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing is, just from a storytelling point of view, showing that whip and showing the scars in the same episode, there was no need to have that whip part with the bugs. Like, there
Right.
was
Right.
absolutely no need for that.
Unless they're trying to
Yeah.
have you make the connection, which Leslie Headland,
Yeah.
again, in her interview is like, "Look, I'm laying stuff out there straightforward for you to take and understand. Like, I'm not hiding everything. I'm putting a lot of stuff
Oh,
right
yeah,
out
she
there." I
wasn't
mean, like,
she was
yeah.
hiding the Qimir thing, but we were all expecting that to be like a twist, but we're like, "Oh, it's him." But then all our favorites get killed in
Yeah.
that episode. That was a twist for me, that Yord and Jackie were gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what surprised me.
Which,
So, yeah,
Candace, you
I
came
can
up
see
with.
that.
I have to give you some credit. You did come up with the Yord sale.
Oh my god, Charlie Burnett. Like,
She came up with
looked
that
at
meme,
that,
and
and
he
I
like, yeah, he was like, "Oh, the Yord
Oh,
sale."
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's so funny.
That
Marcy
is a
texts
fun.
me, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Why? I'm walking the dog." And she's like, "Go to Twitter." I'm like, "What?"
When
And I'm like,
someone
"Oh my
says,
god,
"Are
he
you
said my
okay?"
name."
and then go to Twitter, I get nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same, same. I was like, "Oh no, I've been canceled for my too
Yeah.
many Yord puns or something." But yeah, no,
I
I made
mean,
him laugh, which makes me
yeah,
happy.
it was such a good video. But with the Vernester stuff, I think for John and I, we've brought this up a couple times now. Her character's so cold, and we know as not as High Republic fan necessarily, but from what we've seen online, people that are fans of the books have said like she's so different than in the books. Like she's, like you said, she's clearly seen some stuff, been through some stuff, and it's hardened her. But she came across so cold all these episodes that now you have to be like, okay, there's something else going on here. And as soon as you see his scar, it's like obvious connection. You're like, okay, clearly they're having her insinuating that that's how he got the scar.
And it's been
Yeah.
decades from the last time we saw her in the books to here.
Right.
So,
Right.
so much could have happened to her. We
Right.
we don't know, like, we aren't who we were decades ago, or like a decade even ago. We're all very different people, especially we
Talk
have
about maybe
multiple
2 years.
tragedies
2
over and
years.
over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I agree. I think my not hold up with the Acolyte. Like I need to hang on to something good from the Jedi on this show, for that hope, because even like the darkest of Star Wars end with hope. Like Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. Revenge of the Sith, complete darkness, but it ends with Luke and Leia. and knowing what that leads to. And then Rogue One ends with Leia literally saying hope. I know that the Acolyte is not going to end happily because it's a dark side story and it's needed to in order for the stuff that comes after to make sense. I hope there's some sense of hope for it. So I'm sitting here with 2 episodes to go, hanging on to, I'm not a diehard High Republic fan. I'm not a big reader of the High Republic, but I need Vernestra to not be a Sith. I need maybe something happened where he went off the rails and she pulled a Luke with Ben Solo and tried to stop him, and that's how she caught him. But it wasn't like I'm trying to kill him or something like that. And the same thing with Soul. People are like, oh, he's suspect, and I agree. There's something shady with him, but I can't help but based on how he talked to Osha when she was a little girl, saying you're never going to feel that way again. I believe that he's a good Jedi, and I just think he's a matter of time and place, and he's been swept up in all of this and having to try to keep it because he believes in the Jedi Order so much that he's so tormented. It's like when someone knows something that's so bad and they can't get it out because they know it will make everything worse. I think he's just this tormented soul. Like you were saying, Candace, that scene with him and just that board, and he pounds the table, and I was like, wow, no. He's showing real raw emotion here. He's getting broken down by Qimir already. And it's that's the tragedy of this, is seeing these good Jedi, these High Republic, the height of the Jedi people getting just broken down by this one entity. It's crazy.
My thing about the Jedi Order is, as a whole, not so great. But there are Jedi who are amazing. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Soul. They are what the Jedi should be. But obviously, when you have an organization like that that's answering to the Senate, who's worried about politics, there's going to be some issues. And I don't think Soul or Vernestra are Sith. I don't think they're evil. I think they probably made some mistakes. And we all make mistakes. And when you have so much power like the Jedi do, your mistakes are probably really big. And you're dealing with all these stakes. So I'm okay if they did something wrong.
Sure, yeah.
They're just people.
Yeah, I think the big question for me is, what did they do after they made said mistake? Because it seems like they're covering up a lot of stuff over the years. Vernestra's first reaction is we got to keep this quiet. We can't tell anybody. So then you're like, okay, what else has she done? What have other people done? What's going on? And bringing it back to what you guys were just saying with the light whip, they show her slicing a bug in half. Qimir only has a scar. So if she can slice a full-on bug with a skeleton and wings and all this other stuff, and he walked away with a scar, then I don't think it was done to kill him. Because if she wanted to kill him, she would have. So that's why I don't think she's a Sith. Yeah, I don't think she's a Sith.
So it's been a while since I've read everything, but she has a Padawan, I believe, that goes to the dark side.
Right.
And then she brings him back, or he dances with the dark side, kind of thing. But I don't know how to say it.
On a Saturday night.
But yeah. But well, yeah, Soul does show attachments. Instantly with Osha, he's like, I'm this girl's father. She's my baby. When he meets her, he's like, I adopted her.
Yeah.
And he keeps her photo. He hugs her, very non-Jedi things. But again,
then he's tying
the Jedi
his sister.
Perfect.
Yeah, and he's tying her sister to a board, being like, "You will listen to me." I was very whoa,
that was
caught off guard from that. I was like, he's going through it, John. I know you have your idea, because the first thing people said is oh my God, he's the bad guy, it's him. And when Vernestra and the other Jedi were walking through what had happened, it does kind of lean towards did Soul do something bad? Was it Soul's fault? What's going on? And then immediately cuts to him doing those things on the ship. So your mind is playing games with oh my God, could Soul do something so terrible like this? Is he guilty? Is something going on? Or is it just a big misunderstanding? Which I think this whole show is is it a misunderstanding, or did something really happen here? Right, John? Because that's what you said. You thought that he was just lost, right? That he's not really a bad guy.
No, I think he's broken right now. I think his faith is in question. It's like that. It's like any religion. When you get tested, if someone who's in the movie Signs, which I love that movie. Mel Gibson's character is literally a priest, and his what happens to his family, he gives up his faith. And it's like that's what we're seeing that happen to Soul right now in front of our eyes. And I know he's had the past weighing on him, but that cocktail of the past and what's happening now is too much for him to take. And he's literally, when he's by himself, lashing out and unleashing all that pain and trying to keep it in when he's around all the other Jedi. Like, they start the show with him teaching this lesson, and he's exactly who a Jedi should always be. And then we learn everything inside of him is torment. So he's wearing the correct facade of what a good Jedi teacher should be, because he, in his heart, believes in the Jedi Order. He wants to teach these younglings to be the right Jedi, but he's dealing with all this internally. And now we're starting to see it come out, and Qimmir's drawing it out of him. And that's the whole thing with the Sith, is like, they don't need 1,000 of them. They just need enough to crack the shell around the Jedi, and it's working. And that's like a big part of the tragic element of the show.
And that's an issue with the Jedi in general. Is like, they say attachment is bad. So when you feel anything for someone else, like Soul feels for Osha, he instantly is like, oh no, I made a terrible mistake. That was wrong. When really it's about healthy attachments. It should be.
Right.
And
yeah, it's almost like Anakin sort of saying like, well, actually, we're encouraged to love. And it's sort of like the interpretation of what that means. And Anakin obviously wound up going down a path that he probably didn't anticipate when he said that.
Dark
path. Yeah, right. But at the time when he said it, he meant it in the way that he thought was right. But we saw what happened with Anakin. But that juxtaposition on this episode was pretty clear to me, showing that Qimir is this murderous, evil entity, but yet he takes someone captive, and she is not shackled. He trusts that she's not going to go anywhere, and
he tells her to leave if she wants. He goes, the ship's right there. You might want to.
The exact opposite is her literal twin sister being shackled by a Jedi who's just watching her until she wakes up, and then he's like, "We're gonna talk, and you're gonna listen to me." And it's like,
okay,
so who's teaching and who's corrupting, right? Because that's the title of the episode.
But I will say, look at the way Soul treated Osha. And look at the way that Qimir taught May. May, he never showed his face. He kept secret his identity the whole time. With Osha, he literally gets physically naked in front of her. And then Soul, just saw his Padawan and all his Jedi friends get massacred. And also, he knows that May caused the death of 2 to 3 of his colleagues. So I don't blame him for restraining her, honestly. I'm not like a Soul stan, but like
I agree. I agree. You can't trust her.
She has knives. She was about to stab him throughout the episode.
I couldn't agree more. There's theories about Indara, and we hold them here, that she could potentially still be alive and
because there's someone above
or something.
Qimir. There has to be. There's someone above him.
This is my theory. When he says he wants a pupil, it's like how Dooku took Ventress as an apprentice, because he's like, well, we're just going to overthrow Palpatine. He wants a pupil to the next level.
Yeah, I think there's certainly someone above him. And I brought up Indara because we had been theorizing about her, because the way she handled that fight with May, whereas like she just sort of let that happen, and it was very odd for someone so powerful. So I always put questions on that, because you're right. I agree. Sometimes Jedi have to do what they have to do. I mean, there is a book to go by, but look at like Qui-Gon bent the rules. He moved the chance cube with the Force, and he was a bit manipulative with all of that. And going against them to train Anakin, and he was very rogue. And he's my favorite Jedi. Like, I think Jedi by the book Jedi to me were boring. So I like when they bend the rules and have their own intuition that may go against this order and this book and what that has evolved into. and trust his own instincts, because Qui-Gon's whole thing was always trust your instincts.
The two best Jedi, I think, personally, who I think are like what the Jedi wish they could be, are Obi-Wan Kenobi and Kanan Jarrus. And they both have attachments, but they're healthy attachments, and they're willing to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, at least Obi-Wan's with Anakin, not so healthy. He was willing to ignore things, but in his series, we see he has a healthy attachment to Leia and Luke.
Yep.
And then Kanan obviously loves, and these guys are like not by the book. Obi-Wan's not by the book after a while. And Kanan threw the book out. And yeah, so I think they're what Jedi should be. And I feel like Soul is like, he's like getting in there in my little group of best Jedi.
So we do have a question that I want to bring up really quick from Darth Snips. What up, girl? She said, do we know what these tiny creatures with the elephant noses are on, and we're not on Octo Island? No, it's not Octo. Leslie Headland, via her interview, like we said earlier with Collider with Maggie, said that it was not Octo. She hasn't said what it is yet. It's still unknown. But the creatures have been announced via Star Wars. They're called Sakuras, Skura, and they're foraging among the rocks on an unknown world. They use their long snouts to find sustenance on the shores of an island retreat. So they haven't said where they are, but they're called Sakuras.
Sakuras?
The second
Sakura.
The second time I watched it with the audio description, and it said that they were like, they stop, so then they blend in with the rocks. And I was like, I didn't really even notice that they're like, oh, I'm blending in. I'm a little rock. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
When she walked by, it turned its back like that.
Yeah.
Then when she passed, it went.
They're like looking.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
Our
good.
audio listeners are like, what did you just do? You did nothing.
He turned around. They're so cute. They're super, super cute. We do have a super chat, so I want to get to that really quick from David Ford. Thank you so much again for the super chat. You said Vernestra is jaded and Soul's becoming jaded. Sad. It is sad. It's sad to see people go through traumatic situations, especially as Jedi, because they're trained to hold on to their emotions or like kind of tamp them down. And I think we're seeing, as we've discussed so far, Soul is kind of reaching his breaking point. Like we're seeing him kind of split at the seams of what he can handle, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And my questions are, or not, or concerns maybe, are the whole May and Osha thing, because I mean, our response from our listeners were that like they're really just more invested in Soul's story and Qimir's story now, and that could very well have been Leslie Headland's intent, because she said, you know, that Qimir's her favorite character, but it's almost like a pivot in a way, because I'm finding myself less interested in the combo May Osha story. The Osha stuff now is getting more intriguing. May, I'm like, I hope they bring that back a bit, because she was the focal point earlier on. So, and I'm also a little curious as to how they're going to land the plane with what's going on with Osha now, because it's a lot of things happened really quickly. And I know Star Wars does that a lot, but it's like, she has this moment with Geeky and she's like, I'm going to miss you. And she's like, well, we got to go to the pub and we got to hang out after all this. And there's clearly like, they want to see each other again. And then she sees her get murdered by this guy. And then he's like, well, you would have just done Jedi things with her anyway. And she was sort of like, okay with it in a way. And I know it's Star Wars and it's like, it does that in the way you tell fantasy stories. But it always just bothers me when it's a quick turn like that. Because it's like, this guy just killed two people that you like a lot. And you said it to him and he gave you one-line answers and you were just sort of like, passed the soup.
I don't think she's accepting it. I think she's doesn't know what to do. Like, he makes some good points about saying, like, why do you love people so deeply? Oh, why do you love people who can't love you as deep as you can?
Yeah, he's digging into her insecurities and vulnerabilities and what she's feeling, because he knows the same thing. That he has also felt that before. I do think that ultimately, and this is going to be terrible because it makes me sad to even say it, I think Osha might end up killing Soul.
No, that will hurt.
I know it will, but from Leslie talking about how they're like father-daughter relationship, and she's being clearly seduced, manipulated. She said she actually wasn't being manipulated. It was more seduced to the dark side and kind of, I don't know, having a dyad, if you will, like a sense of like the belonging with this person that shouldn't be who she should find that friendship with or romance with. But yeah, I think that's where it's leading. I think she's going to end up killing Soul and like make that transition to the dark side.
It's the one thing about Osha, her motivation is always just been she wants to be loved. She wants to be around people. She wants,
Of course,
like when she was a little kid, she wants to be around other kids.
accepted.
Right.
Yeah. So like we see her like with Pip and how he's like her like dog or like her little best buddy. And
Mhm.
she's happy to see Yord, even though he's accusing her of murder, you know?
Right.
She like she's trying to have these friendships. She just wants to be loved, which is a very universal want. And yeah, Qimir knows that. And he's like, I got things. He gets it. He got in her mind.
Yeah, and she like from the flashback episode where May is like, "I'm good here. Like we have everything we need. I'm just gonna follow the generational path." And Osha's like, "No, I want to carve my own path and do my own thing." And she's clearly like this independence she kept driving home. And from a young kid to know that is clearly something that is in her. And I think that does lean more Sithy to me because that is following a passion because she seemed very passionate. And I could see her not succumbing to it, but being allured by the freedom of the Sith arts versus like the Jedi. And also, we need to learn more about exactly what happened that got her out. We know in episode 1, I believe it was, they said Master Indara said they didn't want her to continue her Jedi path. So I'm always keeping my eye on that line. But also she, forget what it was, but when it was like episode 2, maybe, when Soul's like, "You're coming with me," and she's like, "You want me to be a Jedi?" And he's like, "No, not really." And she's like, "Oh," it's almost like she wants the belonging, like you're saying, Candace.
You're
But
welcoming
also
me back. Yeah.
yeah, she
Well,
also has this passionate side of her that wants to seek her own path.
when she's talking to Qimir when they're having all those like very intense discussions, she's like, a Jedi can't kill someone who's unarmed. And he's like, you're not a Jedi. So she's still in that mindset. She's still like,
But he said
Yeah.
it differently to her than, "Hey, you're not a Jedi," which is
yeah,
interesting. Where Soul's like, "No, you're not a Jedi." Whereas
yeah,
Kymir's basically like, "You're not a Jedi, so this works. Semantics, right? Semantics. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. Let's see where this goes." And she's kind of like, "You're right, I'm not, but that's not a bad thing." Like he's the first person to kind of acknowledge, like, you didn't fail. They failed you, you know? Whereas so far she's felt like it was her fault from the moment she was with her parents, her mothers, the moment she failed May, she feels like she's failed Soul and Yord and all these other people. Like, I failed. And Kymir's saying, no, you didn't. They weren't there for you. You're not
And
failing.
honestly, I feel so much for Osha. May, not so much, but Osha.
I
just this
don't
idea of,
like May. I'm gonna be honest. If something happens to her, I'm gonna be like, okay. All right.
I'm interested to see what happens in the flashbacks that maybe will make us like May, but like Osha, just like the profound loss that she went through as a child. And then she's adopted into this new family, the Jedi Order, and then she loses that. And it's just like that loneliness you can relate to. And
prey on if you know that someone went through
yeah.
it. And like Jamie just had the comment, she said when Yord said he gets inside your head and doesn't leave. So I mean, I have to, based on everything we've seen, assume this guy has bad intentions. And I understand that there's clearly some sort of romantic thing happening here. There's no doubt about it. But
it's selfish. You have to assume that he's doing things for selfish
I
reasons.
can't help but think yeah. Go ahead,
Candace.
Oh, but so excited that part of the dark side, they do bring a romantic aspect of that because in the EU and some of the expanded universe, there has been that. Definitely in fanfic, there has been that it's part of he says desire. Yeah. And in the descriptive audio, it says he looks at her and says desire.
He knows what
Yeah.
he's doing. I mean, he's
Yeah.
been when we were talking about episode 2 and the subsequent episodes, after John and I watched episode 2, I called him and I said, Qimir is a creep. He gets so close to her. It's so creepy. He's up in her face. Like, what is going on? I don't like that. And then he does it again a couple episodes later. And I remember I called John. I said, that is definitely Qimir. And he goes, no. I was like, he gets so close to her face. Like, so, like episode 2. And then in this episode, he's stripping down naked, which Leslie Headland said basically the reason she did that is because he just killed a bunch of people in the previous episode. So she had to basically disarm him in a way that equals the playing field by getting him naked. Cause it's like someone you can't do anything when someone's naked. Like he doesn't have a weapon. He's just there. Which, side note, it's pretty comical that he probably was waiting around until she woke up to go walk and take a bath. So like he was just like outside, like,
He had the whole game plan.
When's she gonna wake up? God, I just
He
really
was
would
putting
like
on
to
a
relax.
show.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, here she comes. I'm just gonna walk this way. Oh, she paused. I'm gonna pause too. Oh, what's that? I don't. Okay. Oh, she's watching me. Like, it's just kind of funny to think that, given the time frame that he's like, okay, oh, she's getting up. Okay, I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go take my clothes off now.
Wild stuff.
Yeah, I saw your face, John. Did I say something that was funny?
No, well, no, but you just said something like, yeah, and then episode 2, I felt like he was shady, and then a couple episodes later, I told John I think he's weird. I'm like, episode 2, we were talking about he's the guy in the helmet. And we were.
I'm saying after we watched it initially, and I called you that first phone call, and I said, "Oh, that's definitely him." And then we went back and we're going through all the things. I'm saying initially, I got vibes.
I will give you credit, which before the show even came out,
yeah,
there was one of the trailers came out, and you're like, I don't know, I feel like Manny Jacinto is going to be like this really creepy guy, and I was like, no, he's just going to be like the eye of the people, no force
solo guy.
Yeah, and apparently
you're partially right.
Don't ever listen to a Star Wars actor in an interview ever again.
Oh, he lied and lied.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
He has been lying forever.
It reminds me of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield whenever they were asked, like, are you in Spider-Man? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah. They haven't told me. Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the romance aspect? Where do you see it going? Where do you like this might be the most intense romance I think we've seen outside of Padme and Anakin. I'm not saying good, I'm saying intense.
Oh no, it's gonna be toxic. It's toxic as heck. But I'm here for it because I'm so surprised, like the lack of romance in Star Wars, because
Agreed.
These people are like in these high tension, they're in wars, they're in battles.
You don't want to get it in before you die? I mean, right?
Exactly. Okay, Lacey said it. Lacey said it, so it's fine. I was like, how do
it's
say
true,
this?
right? Everybody thinks that. Like, you want to love, you want to live. If you're putting your life on the line, why wouldn't you? But I know John feels this way. I agree with Kira and Han. Like, that was the last kind of real big, awesome romance we got on screen. It was beautifully done. And then since then, we haven't really gotten anything. And we all wanted Rey and Kylo to come to something outside of a thankful kiss, something. And it didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I agree with you. You're so right, Candace. It's going to be so toxic, but like still kind of intoxicating,
but we're here for it.
which is the whole point, right?
Yeah. And like when people say they like this relationship, they're not saying they like this kind
is
of
really
relationship
healthy
in real life. Yeah. We're saying like, no, this makes a good story. We're like, I don't want that in real life.
Right. Yeah. Oh, my whole thing is, can there be a good guy who gets a romantic angle in Star Wars that isn't named Han Solo?
Kanan Jarrus.
True.
Good point.
Kanan.
Good point.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah, that's great. And even you could say Obi-Wan and Satine.
You know?
Yeah. But for live action and the big stuff, like get a romance with a good guy. Like I feel like we're always taking our female protagonists and flinging them at the school shooters. And it's
I
just
thought we
like,
were gonna get Sabine and Ezra in Ahsoka. I thought
I
that
think
was
that's still
fun.
on the table, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see where it goes because there's definitely
But I
sending out a
agree.
lot of vibes.
No, there's absolutely. I mean, not even the lake scene or ocean scene, whatever it is, but the scene
It's
with
a
the
lagoon.
lightsaber
I would
where
say
she
a
puts it
lagoon.
to his throat, like that is pure passion.
Mhm.
And it's like her moment is similar to what Soul's moment was, where he has the lightsaber right at his throat and he's like, I'm gonna kill this guy. And she was driven to that point by a different feeling. And it's interesting that her master had a very similar reaction and almost killed Qimir literally with the lightsaber at the throat. And then we see Osha doing the same thing. I don't know if that's telling of more of what happened between Soul and Osha specifically, but the fact that it was clearly Soul, the previous episode, lightsaber to his throat, a blue lightsaber, and then the next episode, Osha doing the same thing but with the red lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
The descriptive audio said it was a throbbing lightsaber.
A throbbing lightsaber. Yep.
Yep.
Who wrote this? The script.
It also wanted you to know how fit Manny is.
Yeah, taut.
Like his muscular, taut, you know. So we know where the descriptive audio person is.
Was
And
it Danielle
we
Steele?
get you.
My mom used to have all those paperbacks with all the covers, and I was like, Mom, what is this? She's like, it's a mystery. Don't worry about it.
Look, romance novels are a thing, and they make so much money. There's a
I
reason
see
why
you,
they come in.
Janice. I see you now.
The
Jeez.
funny thing is you say that. So I picked up a book when I was like, I have to say like 8th grade, right? And it had some like romantic cover, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And so I bought it not knowing what it was. It was at like a book fair. And I remember I was reading it and I was like, oh, okay. And I remember sitting and reading it. I think it was on a plane going on vacation with my parents. And my mom was like, what is she? Or my dad goes, what is she reading? And my mom goes, a supermarket novel. And my dad was like, oh, God.
Wow.
Whatever. They're fun. It's all, but yeah, the audio description thing is one of the funniest things I've seen recently that like everybody was talking about today because it's like so funny, but yet so intriguing. I was like, say that again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
Manny stole this episode for me. He was just so good. And I loved the contrast between obviously his Qimir in the first few episodes, who's like jokey and like, oh, what did you say? Who, me? What?
me?
And then he's
Me?
snapping,
Yeah.
he's snapping necks and stabbing people and decapitating people. And then he's like, hey, I'm here for you. Whatever you need. You want some soup? I'll change you for it. Like, put you in nice new clothes. I got you a bed. Hey, you want to hang out?
Yeah, I touched
And
you
you're like,
in.
oh, yeah. Like he's so calm and understanding. And you're like, he tells her like twice to kill him, 3 times maybe. I'm like, I'm conflicted too, man. Like, this is a lot. Like,
the audio
so
description
calm.
was like, he gently touches her hand. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. He knows what he's doing. Manny knows what he's doing.
Sure.
Manny.
The character for sure knows what he's doing. It's just
Yeah.
there are more mysteries introduced in this episode too, with him sort of referring to, oh, it was a really long time ago when I was a Jedi. So like, was this dude frozen in carbonite? Was he frozen in
Sith.
cortosis? Like
Sith.
Yeah, what's the
The
deal?
Sith
Do they have a
the
nice
Sith have
skincare
powers.
regimen? Yeah.
Yeah, Sith night cream. Everyone has that. They get that
I gotta
once
get
you
some
turn the
Sith
dark
night
side.
cream. Yeah.
Palpatine
no.
really needed that.
Oh gosh, he did. But there are like, it might just be EU, but there are Siths that can like stop the aging process. They live longer because they're holding on to that hate. You know, so and Vernestra's over 100 years old.
Yeah, I also didn't take it as that long ago. Maybe I'm just being dumb. But like I will be like, oh my God, that was so long ago. And it's like 5 years. I'm like, oh my God, that was so long ago. And it's like 10
The
years.
Sith night cream is the red inside of the Star Wars Oreos. You just take that cream and you just smear
The
it all
kyber
over your
crystals.
face, I think.
It just
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
exfoliating.
Yeah, you get the red 40 just all over your face. You go to sleep and
You
wake up
think
with
that
red
guy
face.
eats Oreos? That guy's not eating Oreos. You check out those arms
No,
and
he's
abs.
just put on the face.
Oh, just
Yeah,
on
it's
your
just like solely to put it on his face. Yeah.
But okay, so my thing is,
yeah.
she's like, well, I never saw you. And I'm like, there are 2,000 Jedi. How many Jedi are there? Like
yeah, they make that clear. Like
10,000?
thousands,
Or
thousands of Jedi.
thousands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you could have known every one of them, Osha.
True. Yeah.
But I'm guessing not that many people do leave the order, though, right?
Yeah, I
Especially
know
during
that.
this time.
Yeah,
Like, it's
Leslie.
cool, good to be a Jedi during this era.
Yeah, Leslie Headland had made a comment about that in that interview today, which was about her talking with Pablo Hidalgo specifically about how when you walked away from the order, it was potentially like a big ceremony and you turn your lightsaber in. So that's why when she grabs his lightsaber, he's like, does it feel good to hold one again? Like, because she turned hers in. Because once you leave that life, you turn everything in from that life, your robes, your lightsaber, everything, and you walk away from that piece of you because you don't want to go through with it. But I think, yeah, there's got to be, they make it clear that there's thousands and thousands of Jedi. The question that still remains to me is there's some thread here that's pulling all these situations together, like the witches, the coven, with the Jedi, with Qimir, with Soul, and I'm still trying to figure out how all these puzzle pieces fit. And John, I know you had mentioned that you thought that Qimir might be a child from the coven. We had talked about it, I think, last week about like maybe that's where that came from, because he did mention to Soul last week. You don't remember me? And I know that he wasn't talking, because some people were like, well, he met him in episode 2. And I'm like, no, he said it in such a way that was like, you don't remember who I am? You know me. And it still doesn't fit into the story that we were discussing of Master Soul in the woods. There were 2 clear moments where he feels a presence, like he feels something that he's unsure of, that he's like, what is that? Don't worry about it. And he like seems worried, frustrated, concerned. And then he goes on in this episode about, how did I not feel what his intentions were? How did I not know? But I think he did know in a sense. But the question is like, how does this all fit? What do you guys think?
I think that Qimir was there on the night of, what is it called?
Brendock.
What is
Brendock.
it? Brendock.
Yeah.
Because if you look at his arms, he has like burn scars on them.
Mm-hmm.
And we know there was a fire there.
Oh, does he have burns? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And
so he's like, Manny's like 38, so he would have been in his early 20s if we're going just on those ages. But again, if he's using the Sith cream, he could be.
Right. Yeah, he could be 110.
Yeah. So I don't think like just what we've seen from the Jedi point of view is, did they purposely do something terrible that all 4 of them are like taking a vow of silence, literally, with that one guy who's like, I'm gonna go meditate for a decade. Bye.
Torben, yeah, with his terrible beard, yeah,
terrible wig,
Crix Maybean beard, yeah. I don't know. There's gonna be something, because I'll still remember that shot in the flashback episode where the hair maidens looked at each other when Osha said that we're the only kids here, and that was the only time they looked right at each other like,
it was such a beat. Yeah, it's such a clear thing.
There's other kids there, so I was like, what if he was there and he was a teenager, or he saw what Soul did, and that's why he knows that he can get to May by harboring on with this moment or something. Like, they all have to be connected in some way, because it's Star Wars, and Star Wars always, like a Seinfeld episode, by the end of it all the storylines sort of weave together for the conclusion. So, but we haven't talked about this part yet, and you brought up EU a bunch, Candace, and like the whole cortosis thing. People were on top of that immediately last week, and I'm like, what's the deal with this? And I love that new technology where he's disabling these lightsabers and stuff. But now clearly it's Jordan Mazon posted something from like Wikipedia, and it's about how in the Plagueis novel, Plagueis and Tenebris were looking for this island to mine this cortosis,
and you see
material.
the veins through the rock when she looks up, which is the same color as his helmet.
So is this sort of Leslie Headland letting us know, like, we're doing the Plagueis thing, and maybe that's coming? Maybe Tenebris in canon is a human, and what if Qimir is Darth Tenebris? We don't know his Darth name. There's a lot of angles they can go with this. It depends on how much they want to connect this to like 1 or 2 steps removed from Palpatine, being that it's still 100 years.
I texted a friend. I'm like, what if they made Tenebris hot? Like, because I'm like, that's his photo. But like, what if they're like, but hot? Instead.
That's
because
the picture of the show. Tenebris just
the
hot.
whole is but hot.
Or make him a changeling, like in the Bounty Hunter and Attack of the Clones. 1 minute, he looks like a Squid Games character.
Squid Game.
I know. I'm playing on playing up the bit.
He's doing a through line.
Yeah, I'm doing a through lines. All right.
But she's going along with it though. That's her through line.
Yeah. That's what they say. We have chemistry on this show, and I think that was it. But but yeah, you know what I mean though. Like I just feel like there's more that they could do with this, but it's also makes me a little nervous because even though he's never been shown, like Plagueis is very precious to people, and it's like it's almost like the Kessel Run. Like when like they're gonna do the Kessel Run solo, they better get it right, and they did. They crushed it. But like, what if they do this, but Tenebris is not the Bith species or whatever he was in that novel? What if he is a changeling? They can have him look like Qimir one day and have him look like a roach the next. Who knows? Star Wars is weird.
It is weird, but I like it when it's weird.
It's fun.
Do.
Yeah,
I also like it when it gets a little romantic.
I agree. They've been missing romance in Star Wars for sure, especially in live action.
Okay, so when are they kissing? Next episode or the last episode? Because it's coming.
I don't know if it's coming. Granted, I didn't think we were going to ever get like.
You think we're just going to get tension? We're just going to get pining? We're not going to get actual action?
I think they're going to like about to kiss, and then C-3PO is going to pop up and be like, "Sir, I isolated the Powerflex coupling." Everybody's going to be like, "Where did you come from? This isn't your story.
Like,
don't even go
Anakin,
here."
made him 100 years earlier. Just to Sith block.
Or Hu Yang, he's like, "Do you need a new lightsaber, miss?"
What am I doing here? I don't know, Anthony Daniels. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing here.
I was saying that she was looking at his lightsaber while holding his lightsaber.
She totally is. There's screenshots. I get it though. I would too. Like, how can you not? It's just like,
but
she has to see if he's carrying anything.
She's not Rey. Rey was like,
ladies.
Rey sees a chest and she's like, "What? Where am I?"
Seinfeld rears its head again, and Brian Ward tweeted this.
Oh, the shrinkage thing.
The shrinkage thing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Regardless, she's still looking. It's totally fine.
Can I ask you guys, are we getting the flashback next week? Or are they saving that? And is that going to be the finale? I don't know.
It might be the finale. It might be everything comes to head. I hope they intersperse the flashbacks with present day, because I love episode 3, but I feel like the momentum kind of stopped a little bit with it. So it would be nice if it was like intertwined.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get the bit, because it is a mystery. You got to have that big monologue of like, "This is why I did it," and then you have the flashback of like, "This happened, then this happened." I'm going off
the
Knives
audience.
Out, to be honest. Knives
Yeah.
Out, where the person at the end's like, "This is how I did it," or "This is how you did it," and they run through every single detail that you're like, "Oh," I feel like that's coming in the last episode. I think also, John, you and I looked up like the writers of these episodes and the directors, and I believe the writer of this episode's coming back for the finale, right? And they also wrote episode 2, or is that wrong?
Well,
did I get that wrong?
Spot there, Gillerin.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm putting myself on the spot too. I think it seems like they're going back to what happened in the last finale. They're going to wrap everything up with one of those like, "This is what happened" moments. And I think this is what happened on Glee. Go ahead.
What I think might happen next episode is what happened from Soul and the other Jedi's perspective. Just like episode 3 was from Osha's perspective. And then the very last episode is what actually happened.
Because you're getting perspectives. Yeah. Everybody's little piece.
It's a Rashomon.
And Kagonada directed the flashback episode, and Lacey, you brought up that Kagunat is directing episode 7. So just from a production standpoint, it's very possible they knocked those 2 episodes out and they're both
At the same time.
flashbacks.
Yeah, it would
Mhm.
make sense production-wise.
And then, Hanel, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name right. Hanel Culpepper, who directed this past episode 6, is directing the finale. So maybe more island stuff.
A little more romance stuff.
We finish the show on the island. They all get there and
We just have a
whatever.
beach day.
Yeah, and maybe then
Beach party.
it's just a Lego Star
barbecue.
Wars episode.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do
they
have
all
one more
wear
question.
the striped
Max
60s
Rebo playing in the
tank tops and
background.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So what did you guys think of the ending where she puts the helmet on? What were your thoughts?
I thought it was chilling.
The breathing is so creepy, right?
Oh,
Gosh.
It's just an abrupt ending. And it's a good sign because I didn't want it to be over. And sometimes, there's been some episodes of Star Wars TV where I hit pause and check how many minutes are left.
Or
And
the
it doesn't
family
happen
affair.
It
I
doesn't
did
happen
that.
often. Yeah. Oh, let's bring up that movie again. On Nerdy and Nice.
I checked and I was like, there's 30 minutes left.
Yeah. But
that's one of the reasons I didn't give it a 10 was because I just wanted more. I felt like maybe just like 7 more minutes, 5 more minutes to make it like a 42-minute episode, which is what usually dramas are nowadays with all the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think this one was like 32 before the credits, and I definitely wanted more. But her putting on the helmet, I didn't love it because I just, unless like Soul's gonna like come out as some sense of hope, I need something to hang on here because I just feel like
it's not going to be a cliffhanger though. Leslie Headland said that she wraps it up so that
I know, but there hasn't been a Star Wars that ended with just total despair. And I know this is a dark side story, so it probably has to go that way. But like I said, even Rogue One, with everyone literally dying, it ends with the word hope with Leia and the plans and stuff. It's such a weird time for this show to come out now based on how society is so tumultuous right now. Politically, things are crazy. Like, I feel like, I know Skeleton Crew's coming. I need a Star Wars movie to come out that makes me, my 5-year-old son, my 3-year-old daughter feel like they can, conquer the galaxy and like beat evil and all that good stuff. And I know we're not going to get that here. So it's just like this weird bleak feeling. And I'm hanging on to something. Like, somebody has to give me some sign of hope for the Jedi, because they're not going to get completely wiped out, of course.
It's kind of like Andor. Andor definitely had its moments that were like very kind of sad, dreary.
Yeah.
Like, woof.
Was there really any hope in the finale of Andor?
Right? No, there really wasn't.
No. Yeah. They're building the Death Star. Yeah.
But I think Leslie is such a Star Wars nerd.
Mm-hmm.
She knows expanding universe. She knows legends, everything like that. That there will probably be some hint of hope.
Yeah.
But I'm really loving this series because it just kind of enhances the prequels and Clone Wars, just to show like, how does this 1,000-year organization go up in flames after like 2 nights,
Yeah.
and one guy turning to the dark side. All of these guys get taken out.
I know.
That's true. Yeah.
Seeing the holes.
That's still like, I feel like that 5th episode is going to be the episode people talk about. Now, we may get knocked out in these next 2, but I just remember like, and I'm not sitting there doing a reaction video or anything. I'm just on my couch watching it, and my jaw dropped when the way he was taking them out. Because one, we haven't really seen that before. His just brutality, and almost to the point where he was like enjoying the art of how he was killing them, because he killed them all sort of differently. It was, and the way they were talking about him, like Jackie saying, "What is that?" and then him giving it back to her by saying like, "What was its name?" And the way like Yord was like so confused by him. Like, Yord and Jackie
doesn't go by the rules. I was
right?
like, what
So
rules?
Jackie,
It's war.
I know. And Yord and Jeki did everything they were trained to do because they weren't trained with that as something that existed to have to fight. So then they're just going into this completely blindfolded in a sense. And they did their best, but they just had no chance because like Yord was saying, like he doesn't fight by the rules. He doesn't fight by the rules of combat. And he gets inside your head. Like Yord was toast the minute I heard him say that stuff. I'm like, there's no way this guy is gonna survive.
But they still
his
had
leg-
moments though where he like used the helmet to block, and then
that was
the
amazing.
moment that Jeki, one of the best moments was when Jeki, her lightsaber turns back on and she gives him that like Star Wars like
yes.
That was
I
cool.
loved that, and
That
then
was
you're
cool.
like, oh no, this is going south.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
I just want to like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he took out all these Jedi so easily. What is this in Star Wars? Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine's office, multiple Jedi Masters,
Mhm.
Kit Fisto went out like a punk.
He did.
Like these, and they knew they were going to see a Sith Lord. They knew that going in. Multiple council members. Mace Windu, the best of the best. He did have him. If it wasn't for Anakin, I do think he could have taken him out. But multiple, within seconds, they were out.
They were just so overwhelmed. And I think this shows that too, is like they just didn't know what they were doing.
But the thing is, in Revenge of the Sith, they did know. And so it's like, it's more understandable in this show because they don't know what a Sith is, or they like. So I read someone. I read someone said it was like seeing like a redcoat British spy today, like from the Revolutionary War. Like that's what it is to them, and be like, "What? Who's cosplaying over there?"
Right. Lacey, I know we have a super chat that came in.
We do. So we have Stubby One, of course. What up? How's it going? They said only one Jedi has ever struck down a defenseless enemy, and no Jedi should follow Anakin's example. I don't think Mayor Osha should have any idea what happened on Brendok. Qimir is a lot older than he looks. ? That
Sith
is
night cream.
Oreos.
Oreos. Kyber crystals. That's what they say is in it. It's Kyber crystals.
Is that what it says? It's Kyber?
Yeah. It says it's either red or like blue. Kyber crystals are in the frosting. That's what makes them
So when we
color,
open it, we're actually bleeding them a certain color. So it's really me. It's not Oreo who's telling me I'm dark side. It was me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the super chat.
Thank you. All right. So let's close out by guessing what might happen or what you want to happen. Do you think this whole cortosis thing is going to eventually tie us to Plagueis and stuff? Candace, where are you at with 2 episodes to go? Have you been speculating, or you've been just focusing on this particular episode? Where are you at with the future?
I like being surprised, so I don't try to speculate too much or try to get my hopes up. I learned my lesson from WandaVision. Like, don't get these outrageous like thoughts and be like, it's Nightmare. It's Mephisto. No, we don't do that anymore. So I'm just here for the ride. Some kissing would be nice on screen. I don't know. Some evil kissing. Let's see it.
I'd take that in a hot second. Hot Sith second.
I knew like on my side.
Hot second. Who wouldn't want it? They're both attractive people. I'd love to see that.
I know. They're both pretty. How the pretty people kiss.
Are you talking about Basil and Pip? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Oh,
100%.
Speaking of Basil, when y'all were saying, oh, it's a mystery, somebody's going to have to explain it all. I'm just like, what if Basil does it? He's like named after the
they don't give you subtitles.
It's yes! And he's acting it out and everything.
Somebody will figure out that that's a language and they'll translate it. So yeah, I mean, we speculate like bananas on this. The beauty of it though is to not have the ego to expect your speculation to happen. And if it doesn't happen, like, you aren't the credited writer of the script. So It's their story. You're the customer, as Harrison Ford calls it. I don't have fans, I have customers. We're the customer. We're paying to check out what story they're telling us. So I throw theories to the wall all the time, but when they don't happen, I'm like, oh, all right, let's see what this is, and let me adjust my point of view here. So I assume we're getting the flashback next week. I assume they're going to tell us everything we need to know so that going into the finale, we fully understand what got everyone to this point. I think that's what's going to happen.
I still think it's Indara. I still think the Sith above Qimir is Indara.
I have to. I've gone so far with this.
We have gone too far down that rabbit hole and broken down grammar from other people. We did that with Qimir, but we also did it with Indara, how she says things. Just the fact that, who has a casting meeting with Carrie and Moss and says, hey, you get to be part of this cool show and you're a Jedi, and you die in the first 5 minutes. Like, it just, to me, I think that's the twist. I think that's the big reveal is going to be, it was her the whole time.
Unless it's like the greatest red herring ever.
Disney Plus. Yeah. But like Disney Plus, when you click on the Acolyte, you see her.
Mm-hmm.
They're still advertising her and stuff.
But there are still 2 episodes left, and probably both of those episodes will include flashbacks of her. So that's my.
But she doesn't have bangs in all the promotional material. She has bangs in the old. She has the bang theory, as John calls it, when girls get bangs to show that they're younger.
It's a makeup.
I thought it's because they had a traumatic experience and wanted to like show that they were in control with their hair.
That would work if it was the other way. It's always when they're younger. They always have bangs.
They lift the bangs up and it's just like red frosting on their forehead. They're like, don't pay attention to that.
Oh yeah, she's like, oh, not my red Sith cream.
I still think it was Indara. I think we're gonna get that reveal. I'm still trying to figure out how everything fits together. We've thrown it out before, like, was Qimir a child of the coven that didn't work out, that then got, pushed aside for new children with May and Osha?
Yeah, like what drove them to need to make the twins the way that they did? What didn't work before? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Or was Qimir taken from the coven because they were trying to convert children before, and that's why they got exiled? And then he got taken by the Jedi, trained by the Jedi, and then ultimately he got mad and then left, tried to go back, and then the coven was like, you can't come back here. Because we do see, right, because the weird thing is if you go back and watch episode 3, there are these characters, specifically one character in a full-blown hood that you don't see who it is, and they're just standing there at the kind of hole moment, we call it the big hole, where they're like doing the chanting at that big gigantic hole, which, by the way, we still don't know what that hole is. Right. There's a shadowy hooded character that you don't see, and they never show them who it is, what they're doing, which is weird because they're so in the moment. Like, they're behind Mother and Anastasia behind her, and they're just chilling. And then you see in the meetings that she goes, oh, I got to talk to the crew. Who's in that meeting? We never see that meeting. Who are these elders, or who are these people that she needs to converse with? Is that the hooded person? Could it be Qimir? How old is Qimir at this point? It would then draw his connection to both Osha and May if he was there. It would bring back the burn thing that you had said, Candace. It's like, where is this all fitting? But I do think Indara is the ultimate overall baddie.
Interesting.
I think there's a Sith. Yeah, I do think it's either Qimir or like someone above him who is like puppet stringing everything.
Yeah,
because Leslie said there's
that
2.
night. Always 2 there are.
Always 2.
Yeah. And he said he's looking for the power of 2, so he's looking to do the classic. Like, if you're a Sith, like, I wouldn't get an apprentice because all they do is kill each other. So if I'm the only Sith, who's going to kill me? So power of 2, like that, you're just signing your own death warrant.
But I think they have such big egos.
Oh, of course.
They like, well, it couldn't happen to me. It couldn't happen to me. I'm dead.
Right, exactly.
He's like, I'll just get another one and get that one to replace the other one, like he did with Anakin and Dooku. Right. And then he was like, oh, Luke, take out your father so you can replace him. He's just like, I don't even have to do anything. Y'all fix it.
Kendall does make a good
yeah,
point.
that's
The
a funny
chant
line.
is the power of
Mhm.
one, the power of two, the power of many.
That's good,
Mhm.
Kendall. Well done.
Well done.
That
We got to end
man.
there.
I love The Good
Yeah.
Place so much.
I do
I
too.
have to
He's
watch
so
it.
good.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I gotta
You'd
watch
love
it.
it,
Oh,
John. It's really, really good.
it's insane, like, where he is there and then where he is here, and he nails both roles perfectly.
An actor's
Skills. This
actor.
man has skills. An
Yeah.
actor's
Mhm.
actor. He's acting.
All right, so let's end it there with that delightful pun by Kendall. But we want to
Many.
thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. Thank you very much. Tell your friends. It's always a good time here. Like the Acolyte's definitely not my favorite Star Wars, but I'm having a blast talking about it. I'm having a blast playing detective every week, and I'm enjoying it and finding the things I do like in it. So it's been a good time, and thank you for joining us every week on this show. Make sure you check out Nerdy and Nice. Lacey and I will be back with you on Monday to talk about a lot of stuff, a lot of Marvel stuff, a lot of cool stuff going on that we're going to chat about there. Again, a big thank you to our patrons. As I said at the top, if you can support us, awesome. If you can't, totally cool. But a big shout out to our generals and spice runners: Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, and Colin Cormier. And the Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gilner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian. And all of our patrons, all of our listeners, thank you all so much. Candace, this episode flew by, which means we had a good time. So first off, thank you for taking the time to join us here. We really appreciate it. We had a great time with you. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. This is a blast.
And again, so just for your plugs, for anyone who may have tuned in late, where can people find you, your podcast, everything you got going on? Any tips for 4th of July barbecues, whatever you have on your mind.
Yeah, thegeekywaffle.com. You can find all our podcasts, and you can find me on Twitter at Candace is a Geek.
Awesome. For me, Johnny Hoey on X. I'm a movie podcast just like the movies, Nerdy and Nice, under TRB on Mondays with Lacey. And that's about it there for me. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gillerin and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gillerin. And just loving all the Manny fan cams.
Yes. And
Oh, there's
we
been
will be
so many
back.
good ones.
So many good ones.
It's just getting started, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back with you next week, of course, 8:30 East, to talk about episode 7. We're almost at the end of the Acolyte. But be sure to subscribe and check out our pop culture podcast, Nerdy and Nice. We're talking about all the other stuff that we nerd out about, like we do with Star Wars, but about the other stuff that we like. And that's on Mondays on its own feed. So subscribe free to that. But that's it for us here. So thank you all so much. And from the 3 of us here at AcoNight, we'll see you around, kids.